we bring to you news and happenings on our domestic leagues and, of course, other GFF activities and as and when they unfold at the Football House. The program is coming to you live via our Facebook page, and I am your host this morning, Amadou Oba. I am flanked by the competitions director, Mr. Babukar Job, on my left, and of course on my right is the communications manager, Mr. Bakari B. Balde. But this morning, of course, we'll be looking into issues around the Football House as activities amplify ahead of the upcoming season. The GFF competitions department concluded a countrywide tour to the regional football associations where they had interfaces with the RFAs across the country. Of course, they just concluded it in Banjul and KM respectively after reaching out to both LRR and North Bank, as well as CRR and the Upper River region, all geared towards the upcoming season 2023-2024. But before then, let's go through a feature story which was on the Gambia Football Federation Facebook page, as the GFF President Mr. Kaba Bajo extends congratulatory messages to the Moroccan FA, and it reads: the Gambia Football Federation congratulates Morocco for winning the right to host the 2025 African Cup of Nations. The decision was announced weeks after the president of CAF at the Continental Football Governing Body's Executive Committee voted to award the North African country at its meeting held in the Egyptian capital in Cairo. The president of the GFF, Mr. Lamin Kaba Bajo, described the news as a very welcoming development. He noted that Morocco continues to open its country and facilities to several African national teams, including the Gambia, over the years. He further stated that with its existing infrastructure, there is no country more deserving of hosting the 2025 AFCON edition. According to Bajo, Morocco's various national teams continue to perform exceptionally at international football tournaments, and the most recent is the Atlas Lions, when they became the first African country to play in a World Cup semi-finals in Qatar. This, he said, is as a result of the investments they made over the years and continue so far, Mr. Bajo concluded via the GFF Facebook page. Moving on, now the GFF competitions department concluded a countrywide tour to interface with the regional football associations ahead of the start of the new season 2023-2024. To talk about that in details, I am flanked on my left by the director of competitions, like I said, Mr. Babukar Job, alias Pasule. Pasule, good morning, and it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Amadou. Good to be here.
On my right is Mr. Bakari B. Balde. He's, of course, my boss, the communications manager. Sir Bibi, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ahmadou. Nice to be on this platform to reunite with you, but this time is on the reverse.
Absolutely.
Instead of being a host, I am a guest. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mr. Bauer. Thank you, Mr. Bakari. Now, the GFF second vice president, as the chairman of the competitions committee, and of course the second vice president of the Gambia Football Federation, Mr. Ibu Fai, led a delegation of experts, and of course specifically the competitions department and of course other departments within the Football House to conduct a countrywide tour to meet the RFA's regional football associations ahead of the upcoming season. Tell us a bit about what triggered this tour, Mr. Director.
Thank you, Amadou, and good morning, listeners and viewers. As you said, we just concluded a tour of the region with the competition department. As you said, the tour was triggered during Mr. Bajo and his executive went round to a thank you tour to the stakeholders in the region. And during the process, it was found out that some regions lack some statutory mandatory committees, or if you like to say, the way they run their leagues. And during the tour, I have a brief discussion with Mr. Fai, who is the second VP responsible for competitions matters and national teams, and he's our direct supervisor. Then we came to a conclusion that we need to go around the regions again to make sure that we standardize their mode of operations. Also, during the tour, we came to realize that the regions are not organizing third division, regional third division, the way it should be. So that triggers the tour, of which definitely was successful. We just concluded in Banjul, just Saturday. Definitely it was a success.
Yeah, so and it reminds me of the composition that you went with. Like I said, the competitions department, it's a team of experts. They were mostly all there. Of course, we also had the likes of Mourou Jan, the competitions manager, the competitions assistant Idrissa Jame, James Noor, Mohamed Sinera. But of course, another important component is the communications. Mr. Bakary B. Balde represented the communications department. Take us through as to some of the things that you've actually been delving into during the course of the tour, in brief.
Amadou, I think it has been a very successful tour, and interface with our associate clubs and associate regional football entities. The more reason why the communications department is embedded in the tour is to also present a bit of how the standardization of this important document, the information contained in this document, how it could be communicated to the associate club as a whole. Maybe I give you an analogy as a start.
Sure.
When we all finish school, after school, our parents said, look, Bakary, Amadou, Mariama, you have to go and make further reading. Go and study computer. Others will tell you, go and study typing. In those days, you remember. And after time, as we evolved, it became IT, information technology, and digital media. The standardization of this document, there is information there, and that information needs to be communicated to the wider public. But how do the regional football associations do that? That is what we have come to help them do. We made a case study of the Gambia Football Federation. We have a big department. The regions may not be up to that big to have a similar department like ours. But many regional football associations also have a channel where they can reach to their stakeholders, because they have a product, they have a service that need to be communicated to their associate clubs, to the general public. But how do they do that? Now, after when we did our typing school, our computer school, our IT and digital media, now as football evolved, there is something you call social media. Amadou, you are currently going to the university, and you know there are people now doing courses, sub-courses in social media. Because social media is the new media.
Sure.
If you want to reach to people, you go to where they are. Where are people? Where can you find people? They are on social media. And that is the analogy we put to the regional football associations, that you people are doing very good. You are doing extensively well. But how many people know this kind of services that you are doing to the public? Only very few. Very few people know about it. Now, if you want people to know about that, use a channel. What channel can you use? Go to social media, because that is where you can find a lot of people. And these are some of the things we have put across to them, so that they understand very well, as one of the ways to reach to people quickly is to go to social media. Now, there are many social networking channels. One of the most important channels that the Gambia Football Federation uses, for example, that they can take as a case study is Facebook.
That's where we are.
That's where we are, Facebook. You will realize that a lot of regional football associations have their Facebook accounts, have their Facebook pages. And I made a case study. I said, look at the clubs, look at the league clubs, first division, second division, the women's league, first division, second division, third division teams. They all have their social networking sites, Facebook, where they communicate to people. They have a product, they are doing services, they want to communicate to people. How do they use that? You go to Facebook. Now, equally, you can also do the same, because people want to know your existence. There are people even out
despite reaching out to the RFAs, but the public also could learn from this, could share with us from this. I'll come back to you, Sir Bibi. Mr. Babukar Diop, competitions director. The head of delegation and the second vice president, Mr. Ibu Faye, put emphasis on the importance of player registration. He said player documentation is vital for the benefit of the player and the club. I quote from the story that we published on the GFF Facebook page. Tell us a bit about this player documentation, the processes and what it entails.
Yeah, Amadou, thank you once again. The document that Mr. Faye was referring to was during registrations. We told RFEs that even our national first and second division teams are not benefiting much in terms of proper documentations of player. What it means is, in terms of benefits from FIFA, which is the training compensation, most clubs don't benefit from that package from FIFA, for the simple reason that they don't document their players properly. Key among the documentations is to have a player sign a contract for you. Because the moment he signs a contract for you, it's your player. And then it's easy to trace the player even if he is sold by a bigger club. Let me give an example. Like Drogba. Drogba was from ASEC Mimosa. It's an academy. Then he was sold to France. And then again he was sold to Chelsea. Every from 12 to 23, any movement that he made to a club, ASEC Mimosa gets their benefits.
As the root club?
Yes. Because they have his documentation. So up to the age of 23, wherever he moves, they benefit. Wow. So again, what we told them is how do you track your player? Because if a player, when he was sold, there's a document that is called player passport that the club will ask, and then the federations normally they will do the player passport. The player passport contains all the academies or the clubs that the player went through. They will put in that player passport. And that player passport will be sent to FIFA. FIFA will do a calculation that, yes, Amadou Ba, AOB, at the age of 12, he was with Buyam Academy. He spent 4 years. And then after that, he went to SAO 3rd Division. He spent 2 years. After that, he went to, let's say, Biko. He spent 6 years, and then he was sold. So the player passport will entail will detail all those clubs, the academy and the clubs he went through.
In sequence.
And then from there, FIFA will use that to calculate the benefits that the club that he passes through has to benefit. Let's say they sold you at the price of $10 million. If SAO 3rd Division happens to benefit $10,000 in Gambian context, it's a big money.
That's a big money.
But most clubs are not reaping the benefits. Because they don't know this. They don't know, or they don't do the proper documentation. Because even if you sell a player, you want to make a player passport. Sometimes here in the office we find it difficult to even trace the player. Within our league, yes, we can trace them, but outside the league, sometimes it's difficult because somebody will say, "Nee, he's from my academy." If you tell him, "Give me a documentation to prove that he's from your academy," it proves foresight. So that's why Mr. Faye was stressing on this contract. Because he was just telling them to do this so that at least they could benefit from the FIFA training compensation.
Another crucial point is the issue of contracts and transfers. I joined the two because I don't want to bring the issue of protest yet. We'll get there.
All players, they now contract. The fear is monetary. It has to be monetary. No. Contracts, we are amateur. We didn't give pay players. If we turn professional, yes, the contract has to go with remunerations. Because a professional player, you have to pay him beyond his means, what he lives with. Okay, here contracting a player is not, as I said, it's not monetary, because why people fear to to sign a contract, or they say, no, man, do not sign, or why should I contract my player? Remember, you're giving the player the chance to play football. You're developing him. You're giving him football boots. You're giving him training jerseys. You're giving him fares. If he's sick, you take care of him. So in that context, you know,
an agreement has to be.
It's an agreement. Agreement has to be too, mutual or contract. So that's why we emphasize it or put to clubs that please contract all your players. Give them a contract, and contract cannot go beyond 3 years. You can sign a 1 year, you can sign a season, you can sign 2 years, you can sign 3 years, depending on the club. But most clubs, some of the clubs will say, if you want to play for my club, you have to sign my contract. Sure. If you don't want to sign my contract, just leave. Somebody else will come and sign.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yes, it is. It is. Because it helps. Okay, let me also come to the other part of it. The beauty of having a contract your players. Big teams cannot just jump to your players and then take them like that.
Sure.
No, they can't. The moment you contract your players, the player is binding to the club. If I need that player, I have to negotiate with the club, so that I can give him his transfer. Because without his transfer, he cannot play for you. So you see, big fish will not just come jump. You develop a player from the age of the moment he is in your club. You sign a club of 3 years, and he's a potential. But if he's under contract, if they want him, they have to come to you and you negotiate. If you negotiate, you give him a transfer, then he can go. But if a player is not contracted, come on, he's vulnerable. I can just come, decide, and then, you know, pick him.
That's like a human body in human form without any white blood cells and any disease, of course, or
because
illness that comes.
if you did not contract your player, they are vulnerable. Why? Because the only thing that they need to move is clearance.
Sure.
They only need clearance to move.
That's where I am coming to now, clearance. So you can't be cleared without the contract, or you can be cleared without a contract.
Okay.
I want that to be clear.
You see, players are it's in two folds. You can either be a contracted player or a non-contracted player. A contracted player, if he's to move, he needs a transfer. A non-contracted player, if you need to move, if you want to move, you need a clearance. The difference here is, because this year you signed, this one you didn't sign.
Sure.
If you didn't sign, like a team wants your player, you just write to you that I need a clearance of a player. If he writes to you, you have to give the player clearance, unless otherwise. For instance, if Team A wants a player to Team B, if Bibi wants your player and he's not contracted, Bibi will write to you that he needs your player to move for his club. If he writes to you and you did not respond, he will write a second reminder. If you did not respond, he will send it to the General Secretary of the Federation that I've written to Amadou, I need his player, but he is not responding to my letter. My request. What if the General Secretary will do, or through competition department, is write to you that Mr. Balde requested a clearance of player X. Why didn't you give him the clearance? Then now the onus left to you. You can either object by writing that yes, he's having my. You come with your objection.
Sure.
If you object, then the federation will send your request or your claim to the play status committee, of which the play status committee now will sit and then look at the case, and then they will come up with a verdict. But in the event also, the federation writes to you within 7 days, you did not respond, you did not object, or you did not respond to that letter. The General Secretary has the powers to give the player a provisional clearance to move. Wow. So you see how vulnerable the player is. So that's why we encourage clubs, especially this season. It has been there to encourage clubs to contract their players, but this season we want to emphasize it more, especially in the region, because the regions are even more vulnerable.
Sure. to these things?
Because I'll just go work to any third division club and then snatch the player and bring it to my club. Next two years, hey, join up. So you don't benefit that. So at the end of the day. So.
These are things, of course, that could happen, may have happened, or I mean, it's happening, and the GFF competitions department and the competitions committee is here to ensure that players are safeguarded, but clubs equally benefit because we all know now football is has gone past the stage of just kicking the ball. It goes beyond that, but equally too, there are lots of benefits, and it's important that the clubs and the players are able to reap from those benefits. An important quote that you did make during your during the tour, specifically in Bansang, is that social media is a powerful tool to reach to people because it is where people are, and almost everyone is on social media, especially the major ones: the Facebook, the WhatsApp, the Twitter, the Instagram, and TikTok. Mr. Bakar B, my boss, communications manager, take us through using the GFF as a case study, like you said. What could be done at RFAs to establish like during the course of the tour, and what have you responded equally?
Yeah, we had a lot, and it has quite been an experience. Like you said, social media is very impactful to society's well-being. I earlier on alluded to the director's assertion that the standardization of this document cuts across. It cuts across all the regions, and it cuts across all regions. Sorry, because of power failure. Sure. So I do hope that we are back. Football is science. It evolves. Because it evolves, it's moving fast.
Sure.
And that is why now football is seen as a corporate business, as a corporate industry. If you want your corporate industry to be viable, there is one cardinal principle that you can't leave behind, and that is communications. For any corporate industry to be viable, communication is one pillar that we have to respect. And because football is loved by all,
sure,
and we have to cherish the communication aspect of it. Now, when we went to the RFAs, we realized that most of the RFAs want to be on social networking sites, but they don't have the capacity. Most of them don't even have the personnel. And that is why, to some extent, you can see the president or the general secretary or even the competition manager personalizing the account of the RFA, because sometimes personnel is lacking, or some publish for people to follow up and people to know, and that is a very important development. All the RFAs are automatic members of the Gambia Football Federation executive. For the fact that their executive members sometimes trek all the way from their regions to come and attend executive committee meetings here at the secretariat, they also ought to go back with something as legitimate information to their stakeholders there. But sometimes that is lacking, and those are some of the things that we tell them to do, because information is not only related to ball-by-ball performance on the pitch. There are football-related information that you can share with your people, and that is of their legitimate interest to know, especially with the associated clubs. Now, let me give you an example. Of recent, we have seen an avalanche of movement from our boys going into the Saudi.
Sure.
We know that Badamosi is coming to sign for a contract, but we will never report.
You'll
just keep monitoring.
Sure.
We will wait until it is being reported by his club through their Facebook accounts, so that we come up with the story and we authenticate our story by quoting from the Facebook story of the club that he has moved to. So you can see the importance of what social media and especially Facebook can bring. Maybe I come to another very important angle, and that is WhatsApp. You know, WhatsApp is closed circuit. Omar, the two Mariamas can form their WhatsApp group. You and I and Pasole can form our WhatsApp group. Babukar and others can also form their WhatsApp group. But you see, these WhatsApp groups are now intertwined. The story, the information that we put up here can be picked up. We forward it to Omar. Omar will also pick it up, forward it to Babukar's group, and all of us will get it at once. In fact, for the regions, the account that they mostly prefer is WhatsApp. Is WhatsApp. Is WhatsApp.
That's where they are.
That is where they are. But if you ask others, have you checked your email account? They say, no, you know, I don't have network. But how are you able to go to your WhatsApp? It's through network.
Yeah.
It's through network. But because they are so accustomed to WhatsApp. So accustomed to Facebook, that for email, they forget about it.
And that brings me to your quote, I mean, go where the people are. And if for RFs, the people are in WhatsApp groups, meet them there and, I mean, be with them. You reminded that this is the Football House updates coming to you live via the Gambia Football Federation Facebook page. We come your way twice every week on Mondays and Thursdays. I am Amadou Oba, your host this afternoon, and I am flanked by the competitions director, Mr. Babukar Job, and of course the communications manager, Mr. Bakari. Concluded reaching out to the RFAs. Sabibi, I am not done with you yet. Now, when you talk about communications, it's essential how communications and competitions are intertwined, especially when it comes to the work that they do to ensure that, one, the competitions are ongoing, and secondly, the information is being spread. The case today, again, using GFF as one, how does the communications department relate to the competition department to ensure that the information, like you said, is authenticated and spread to the listeners out there? What is the relationship between the competitions and the communications department?
Yeah, you know, the competitions department cannot work in isolation. We have a symbiotic relationship. Very nice. I remember there was a point I was teasing James Noor. Anytime I see him at our corridors, I know that he has come to drop in something. Either there is a changes in the venue, changes in fixture, or information that we should communicate. So the competitions department and the communications department work very close to people. It is through the communications department that they can come to, so that we relay the information that they have to their general public, especially to their associate clubs. And that is very important. And that is why every time the fixtures, the grounds, the change of developments, anything that may have happened to the competitions department, that has to be relayed to us, and we further communicate it to the general public or to. And now you see, we don't call on the general media body for a press conference or that sort of thing. You know, we just post it on our Facebook page, our channels, our respective social media handles, and everybody get it there from us at once. That is what we do. So any information or any development that the competition department have will come to our department. Most often than not, they go to you people to make sure that they drop it on your desk. And anytime they drop it there, we don't wait to stay there much longer, because if it continues to be there much longer, it becomes stale, and the people will be confused. So immediately it comes there, we just have to make sure that we prepare
reproduce it
and reach it to the general public. And there is a way we do it. We told the RFAs and their associate clubs that these things are very simple. You don't need to be frightened. You don't need to be worried about it. The only thing is just try to shorten the information as much as possible. You are going to school, you know that students now don't even read much longer. Yes, because people are no longer in that habit of reading extensively. So what you do is just try to make your story as brief, concise, and simple, to the extent that when people see it, they understand. And this has to be followed with pictures, or even videos, or flyers, or templates, or things that would entice them, so that they continue reading it. And those are some of the things, mechanisms that we put to them. And they enjoyed it, They enjoyed it. And we gave them the promise that by November, it should have been this November, but unfortunately, it's been called off until next year, when the communications and the competitions department will go back to the regions, and then we'll have a lengthy time to train their media officers, their communication guys responsible for communication, as to how to post in stories, how to upload a picture.
And going beyond to get contents, because consistency is important.
And that is why social media is important.
Sure.
Because in social media, content is the most important.
Absolutely.
Content is not everything. It's not every time that you cough, you put it on social media. Not every time that you do it, you put it on social media. And to some extent, we told them that the GFF Communications Department, as a body, is very meticulous about the information we share. Because the news that we share is the authority of the Gambia Football Federation, is the voice of President Lamin Kababajo, is the voice of Second Vice President Mr. Ibu Faye. That's why anything that you are going to post on that Facebook account must be authoritative.
Absolutely.
Because it is the voice of your RFA. It is the voice of your RFA, and anything that may arise from that, you have to account for it.
Thank you. That is the communications manager, Bakari B. Balde, who was part of the party tour across the regions. We just have only 2 segments. Director, before we conclude the program. Take us through the rules and regulations governing that should govern RFAs or governing the competitions as a due, and some of these standing committees.
I think you just discussed so far just 0.001% of what we've dwelt with in the regions. But as we said, I can just make a summary of it, and then possibly we can have more another program which we can go into details of exactly what we told the RFAs that they need to do. In short, the rules and regulations, as I said, their rules and regulations are not the same. Some are having lesser teams, some are having more teams. Some, the way they organize their 3rd division was not exactly what we intend or what we want, how we want it to do. Because they were playing in groups. They have 2 groups, and they divide their teams into 2 groups. Oh, that's not a league. It's a competition. It's a championship. It has to be a league, a proper league. If you want to participate in the qualifiers to the 2nd division, you must play a league. A league is a home and away. If you have 24 teams, they have to play home and away. 4th round, you have to play a 4th round of 11 matches, and then 2nd round of 11 matches. That's how it should be.
That's standard.
That's standard. And we put it to all clubs. We came to realize that some regions have 24 teams, some regions have 16 teams, but we told them that some regions has 14. But we told them that there's a sequence that they need to increase their teams to reach the 24. Because he said you must get a minimum of 16 and a maximum of 24. There are 2 regions, West Coast and Banjul. KMD, no, West Coast have 24. So the rest, we give them a sequence of how they should increase their team annually to reach the 24. If we are apart at 24, then we'll decide what next. So as at now, we all agree that they have to play a league. Those who are at 14 must go to 16 this season. And the rules starts this season, take effect this season.
This season.
It's effective this season. Because after the conclusion, we're going to do a report, and then so we're going to send it to all the RFAs again, all the deliberations. We send it to the RFAs. They looked at it, and then we have a final draft, and then make it authentic to them. Key among the rules and regulations is we came to realize that most of them don't have a committee. The committees are lacking. Some intertwine their competitions department and the organizing committee. Some will use the will intertwine the competition, the appeals committee and the organizing committee. Some will take the disciplinary committee, appeals committee, and the organizing committee as one committee. So what we told them was, now if you are in the organizing committee, I protest. AOB is the chairman of member of the appeals committee, and against member of the disciplinary committee.
Conflict of interest.
If I protest, and there's a decision taken by Amadu's committee, and I'm not I'm not grieved that I don't accept their, and I make an appeal. If I appeal, Amadou is a member of that appeals committee. Amadou still hang to his decision.
That's conflict of interest.
They have to be divided. They have to be separate entities because these three committees are key.
Sure.
Because there are only 3 committees that take a decision. This is the organizing committee, the disciplinary committee, and the appeals committee. The rest, they advise. They give advice to the. But as I said, we'll go into detail.
Sure. Yes, Sabi.
The committees, you know, that has a bearing with us.
Media and publicity.
Press and publicity. Like Pastor said, some of the regions don't have these sub-committees. They, you know, fuse committees together. Those are not committees; those are just personnel. But we advise them to put up standardized committees because the standardized committees are to the successful conduct of these programs for the RFA.
Sure.
One important committee is the press and publicity. The regions need to open up. There are potentials abound in every region. You don't necessarily have to be a journalist to be in this press and publicity. There are many people who are knowledgeable about media and communications, and they are not journalists.
Sure.
So you can invite them to come and help you in the program of the press and publicity. The press and publicity helps you in the dissemination of your information when you have programs, so that they can work with the media officer, just as we do with at the Gambia Football Federation. They federate to form the Gambia Football Federation as a bigger body. So these other bodies are the sub-bodies. The sub-bodies will now have to take what the GFF is also doing and bring it down to their regions. Take up the press and publicity subject.
Thank you so much. Maybe I will take this opportunity to continue with you to give us a summary or I mean your final remarks on the program. We have been alerted that we will find ways to, expand this program to bring him back or bring both of you back again to talk about this, because it took you almost 3 weeks to complete the entire tour. So I don't think it would be feasible to have just 40 minutes to talk a rundown of all those activities that have been done.
Yeah,
but finally, your final remarks.
We thank the regions very well. It's not easy as we find, but I think they are doing a fantastic job. However, they need to sell out their product and services to the people, and that is why the vitality of communications as a cardinal principle, people bring to the people through that social media platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, and also TikTok. You know, the GFM is on TikTok.
Famous.
And you post a story, you upload a video on TikTok, just within 2 minutes, more than 10,000 people will view it. Anything that we tell them about social media, the importance of social media, they welcome it.
Sure.
But getting in there is those are open individually or even as a group, as a department. They can call on us and we can help anytime. But we thank you very, very much. I never knew that time is as short as when you come as a guest.
It is actually. It's a marathon, and thank you so much for your expertise, Sir Bibi.
Thank you.
Mr. Director, how were you received, and your final remarks?
As Bibi said, after having a presentation in each of these regions, they will show appreciation of the fact they thought that it was the right thing to do was not the right thing. Because we told them, it was very interactive. We told them to open up, tell us, they told us what they did not have, or we told them exactly what they need, what needs to be done. Definitely, it was appreciative. We were well received. It was hectic, but it's okay. And then definitely they learned a lot. And then they said they even went further that it should happen every year. Because previously we do go around, tell them exactly what we need to do, but not in this context. But this time we went there, have a presentation, have a dialogue, because then it was only the few executive members, but this time it was open up executive members and people who are responsible to run their leagues. So we, especially when it comes to rules and regulation, transfers, it was done, and then, you know, it was not the right thing, but they are appreciative. We were, you know, welcomed. We eat some Findis here and there.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you so much.
It was a nice thing. But for sure, they've learned a lot, and then people will start to see a lot of.
It's a pleasure to have you once again on this show, Mr. Director.
Thank you, AOB.
Thank you so much. Viewers, that's all we have for you on this edition of the Football House Updates on this special edition. Gambia Football Federation, Mr. Babukar Job, and of course the communications manager, Mr. Bakare B. Balde, who is also has been part of the party tour that associations ahead of the upcoming season. Of course, the delegation was led by the second vice president of the Gambia Football Federation on behalf of the executive and GFF, and of course the competition. And from me, Amadou Oba, special thanks to my technicians, Omar Toure, Mariama Koma, and Mariama Bojeng, who is, of course, my super great producer this afternoon. From me and the rest of the communications department, we are bidding you a happy football week until we come away on Thursday with Mariama Bojeng. Bye for now.